brother could not remember it. And so he was failed. He didn't have any other question for my brother.
Wow.
That's so sad.
That is really
Yeah,
sad. I don't
that's
get that.
like
I feel like, like people who, have like go to university, get their education, you should be allowed to,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it's not like you're coming in here with bad intention.
There was even a guy before me who got interviewed, and he's been to the States like multiple times, and he just got denied. Like,
That's crazy.
and I even had like a letter from my mom's company, like showing my purpose of visit and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was useless. But I have friends who are because I'm freelance artist, but I have friends who were literally unemployed and wasn't doing anything in their lives, and they got a visa. So
Mind blown. It's
yeah,
like the way the world works.
it's
There we
so
go,
confusing.
Cam.
Like
Is there
I
Kara with the universe behind you? Let's go.
Floating in space.
Oh, you know, when the sea was behind me, it looks like I work for the FBI. Every time my dad, like, when he comes up here, he's just like, what do you do? I'm like, nothing. I'm just like, he's like, why is there so many monitors? I'm like, I have to look.
oh yeah, my mom would ask
No.
also. I use a gaming laptop, but then I have a second monitor back at home. And my mom's like, you have two screens. And she's like, she thought it was
Yes.
useless. And I'm like, no, I open a lot of things.
I have 5 screens open.
What?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I saw
Well, I'm used to it because I
yeah.
worked in the hospital. I resigned because I left to Hawaii, but like when I worked at the hospital, I needed to. I'm not gonna lie, I did play video games a lot. So I would like one side is like all like my like hospital stuff, and this side is all like Valorant.
So we're just waiting for Miss Krystl.
One more, right?
Krystl, is she in the waiting room?
No, I don't see anything up here.
I don't have her direct contact.
I'm trying to figure out which is which in the poster. Well, I see myself.
That's always good. Cam, I saw you into the concert. How was that?
Oh my gosh. It
must have been amazing.
It was like, okay, so background, I went to the Dua Lipa concert
I'm so
Oh
jealous.
my god.
with Megan Thee Stallion, and I got a free ticket through work, so I was like, yes.
I haven't felt this
I'll take
jealous
it.
in so long, and I'm actually really jealous because I love Dua Lipa.
She's an amazing performer. I was pleasantly surprised. Like,
I was like,
Oh
that
yeah,
was my
and
face.
she's been just what do you call this? She's just living up to the meme, you know, with her sharpener dance. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, that one. She's just showing that she's been improving. Yeah, I love her.
yeah, but like little background, I like my day job. I work with hotels, so she was one of my hotel guests.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, her and Megan are traveling together, so it was nice.
And they're really pretty. Oh, I would totally like. Yeah,
Yes.
she's like one of my biggest crushes.
No, it was so weird because like I was like stalking her, kinda, not really, but like it's my job to like go in her room.
It's my job to stalk.
And then
Yeah,
just
okay,
make
okay.
sure the service is perfect and all that. So I was like,
Yeah.
dang, she spends hundreds of dollars on her skin, which is like, wow. She has like she invests in Dr. Strum. I don't know if you know Dr. Strum skincare, but she
I don't
lathers
know.
herself. It's just like she's a dermatologist here in America, but it's like really expensive skincare. So I was just like taking note of everything she was.
I mean, she probably earns
Like
millions
daily.
by the day.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So Makes sense. But oh my gosh, Dua Lipa. She's like my biggest influence right now in music.
Yeah, she's
Ah,
Yeah.
pretty good.
Because I've always loved synthwave and pop and then dark pop sound, and she literally has almost
the
all of that.
embodiment of her
Yeah.
music.
Yeah, like when I found out about her other music, I'm like, wait, this is like the sound that I've been trying to make. I'm like, oh, I love her. So yeah.
I don't know if we should we should wait a little bit for Miss Krystl.
Is she answering? Should
Let me
I?
Maybe
see.
maybe she can come in late.
Typical Filipino style. Filipino time.
Let's go.
Okay, let me just check in
Let's
with
see.
her.
Okay.
Wait. Jake ba yun?
Oof. I'm gonna get my Crocs over here. Hold on.
I can't figure out the lighting in this room, but oh well.
Oh no, it looks good. It looks good.
There's literally a lamp right behind my.
I look like I'm a dungeon, so.
I haven't streamed in like 2 weeks, I think, because
Oh,
where do you guys stream?
I stream on Twitch, but like, I'm really nothing.
What?
Don't be
Nothing.
afraid.
I'm really
What's
tiny.
happening?
I just started streaming like in October.
Oh, you're probably more consistent than me though.
Oh, I stream every day.
Oh,
It
there
doesn't
we
matter
go.
where I am. I went to
Oh,
Cali
there
2
we
weeks ago.
go.
I streamed in Cali.
Yeah, my problem is consistency because there's something always getting in the way. Like, oh, I have to go out or like I have to do something. Oh yeah.
Like I don't even know, my boyfriend, I guess. He makes the time for me. When we were in Cali, he was like, the first thing he asked, is the Wi-Fi good? Because she needs to stream. I was like, yes. Thank you.
I actually like I started streaming like 2020, but I haven't been that consistent. I think for the first few months late last year, I was more consistent, and that's where I finally had a small community. Because when I started before, I was like all over the place. I was just doing whatever I wanted to.
I feel like
Up
my
until
Discord
now.
server has probably more people than like actual Twitch. Like I just have that community in Discord,
Yeah.
but like like it's.
But yeah, that small community only started like a few months ago because I don't know. I started just chatting. Like more people
What do
came
you
in when
play?
just chatting.
Oh, you're just chatting. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I
feel
play
that.
indie
Yeah,
games.
me too.
Yeah, indie
I only
games,
do it
just
sometimes
chatting.
though.
Yeah.
Usually when I'm in Hawaii, I do the just chatting because I be like on the beach and I'm like bored.
I tried streaming. Oh yeah, same. I tried streaming by the beach and like because we literally live in an island in Bohol, Bongbel. And I was at the beach every day or just traveling every day. I tried, but the net is so bad because there was like a super typhoon that hit the province a few months back. And you guys know H plus? Yeah, the Typhoon Odette, if you've heard of it. Like it was so bad, like mango so this is our house and we have a big space. So there were like mango trees and then just big trees there, and then they all got toppled over by the winds. It was scary. I wasn't there though. It was just my brother. So they haven't really gotten back up yet, like completely. So it's just so bad. Like I checked the speed. It was 12 Mbps.
I would have been.
That's so bad. Yeah. I could not even load Twitch properly. So
yeah.
There we go. And it was also I'm pixelated.
Yeah,
when I tried.
Oh no, my connection in Hawaii is so bad every time.
Where's the stream link, by the way?
For
this? Is this recorded or is this live?
Oh, we're recording.
It's recording. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, should we just wait another 5-10 minutes? I don't know if your ladies are on a time crunch.
Is she answering you or she's just not?
No.
Maybe we can start soon.
Yeah, I kind of am on a time crunch. I have to be on another at like 9:30.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, no worries. So We shall move forward.
Okay.
Great. So we just wanted to just go over a few things before we get started. I just want to make sure when I introduce you all, just to make sure we have our preferred names, of course. So you want to be called Reya, correct? Reya Paulos?
Yeah, you can just call me Reya.
Reya, okay.
Yeah.
And Dione, do you like to be just called Dione or Dione Ibarra?
Dione is fine.
Perfect. All right. And then we're just
Dione
gonna
Reya.
Dione and Reya. All right.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm excited to get started. So I'm just gonna go over a brief history of Women's History Month, and then just chat about a few things, and then we'll make it as just in time so Rhea gets her own thing to do afterwards. So let's get started. All right, so I'm just gonna like play the little background music, and then like it's gonna be like 20 seconds. So let me get that situated. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it though, so it'll just be me like dancing around.
Yep.
Perfect.
Oh wait, she said, "Where's the link?" Found it.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Oh, emit. There we go. Oh, there we go. Connected to audio.
Yay!
Yay, Krystl.
Hi, everyone.
Oh. Oh no.
Oh no.
Your audio is cutting out a little bit.
No.
Wait, she's muted, but you could hear her still.
Krystl, you're sounding like a robot. Hello? Try speaking. I'm gonna have to.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
She went back home. My mom was like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I don't know." We'll never know.
Whatever you did there was less robotic. So.
Okay, I'll try going off again.
Oh.
There we go.
Perfect.
Oh. Where'd she go?
I think she's gonna try.
Again, okay.
It's not Mercury retrograde, is it? Just because that's always the.
Hi.
Okay. Hello. Welcome.
Hi.
It's better?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Yes, glad you can make it. I'm so excited. Everyone's finally here. All right, welcome. So we're just gonna like chill for like a couple seconds so we could do our brief intro, and then I'll get started with doing an introduction of Women's History Month, and then we'll go over our questions in a bit.
Oof.
Wonderful. And then Krystl, I just want to make sure I'm pronouncing it's Krystl or Krystl?
Krystl, yeah.
Krystl, perfect. All right, ladies, let me start off with providing a brief history of Women's History Month, which started just as one day, March 8th, 1911. And it wasn't until 1978 that it became a week-long celebration. Flash forward to now, we dedicate a whole month of March to celebrate women and their contributions throughout the whole world and in history. And right now, we at the Bastos podcast are so privileged and honored here to be sharing this time and space with these remarkable ladies that we are honoring today. And I would like to extend my congratulations to all you ladies for being a true inspiration, not only in your respective fields, but to the young ladies you inspire through your work. And let's start off with giving a brief introduction of everybody. We have Krystl Fabella, founder of Filipina on the Rise podcast, where she cultivates Filipina excellence in each show. And Dione Ibarra, who is a talented singer, signed musician, and she's also signed in the Philippines, which is amazing. And we also have Reya Paulos, host of Hella Interviews, and she's been featured on NBC Bay Area, CNN Philippines, and of course the TFC channel, TFC, where she hangs out with all your favorite Filipino celebrities. So, and finally, our newest Bastos babe, Mashley.
Right here.
Right here. She's our newest co-host, and she'll be assisting us today. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and welcome. So let's get started. So, knowing all of you ladies are well-known and respected in your field, what can you give? Can you give a little background on what it took for you to be where you are today? Let's start with you, Krystl.
Hi, everyone. Wow, that's a good question. I think when I started the podcast, it actually started as a passion project and serving a pain point. I always believe in meeting pain with purpose, and I was working
recording in progress
tech in San Francisco. And the irony of Filipino on the Rise is that I had grown up not really connected with my culture, kind of pushing it away. And later on in life, I realized how important it was to embrace your identity, whatever that means, and to fight for representation. Because if no one's telling our stories, then they get to control the story we live in. So it's like, it's in our hands to take back the story. And what I've learned in being in this space of podcasting and just growing to where we are, we're now at over 30,000 listeners and have to have on amazing guests like Reya Ibarra and other notable folks, that people in our community are so hungry to feel represented and belonging. And that it's just really important to always remember your North Star in whatever you do. And that for me is representation and helping give Filipinas their power back. For so long we are in many ways having, our power is taken away, but what does it mean to step into our power through storytelling and through seeing ourselves in excellence? And so it's kind of, what I've committed to.
Oh, it's beautiful. I love that. I've listened to some of your podcasts, and it's just inspirational to hear all those stories from everybody. And it's encouraging to young women that just want to aspire to do what you do. And it's amazing. And Reya, so what got you into your respective field, working with all the Filipino celebrities that you do? And
Well, it was, to be honest, everything that I've done has been like an accident. So like going back to how I started being in this space is I choreographed a tinikling piece for my cousin's debut, and that went viral because Sweetie reposted it because we had a modern tinikling segment in it with my type. And that sparked like conversations across like the world, whether that was in the United States or in the Philippines. So that's why I had a CNN like Philippines, like what's it called, feature. With that, I got into a lot of opportunities. It was great because at the time I was at UCLA. I transferred to UCLA. First, I was a community college student. Then I went to UCLA. And then I explored the Filipino entertainment scene, trying to see what I can learn from, the people that I look up to, who are killing it in the game. So like people who have supported the artist. Like, for instance, there's this one lady named Rosalind Covarrubias. She helped out Inigo with bridging the gap, like between the Philippines and the United States and worldwide with his music. So I've always, I would shadow her, learn from her. And then, so at that moment, I was just hoping to find opportunities to learn about this scene, like the Filipino entertainment scene. With that, it led to like interviewing like the Filipino artistas, which I did not expect this to happen in my life. To be honest, I am still improving my communication skills, but yeah, it was one day I just got a DM from this one lady who works for TFC, and she was asking me, "Would you want to interview for this like movie?" Because they were just looking for just people who love TFC or ABS-CBN like movies and all that stuff. And I was like, okay, for sure, I'll like definitely interview. So with that, I found a spark of joy like talking to these artistas, because I can use my curiosity with the side of critical thinking to ask these artistas like what their like journey is about, or how do they feel about their certain projects, or how amazing it is to like actually release something, especially during like the pandemic, and especially during like everything that has happened to ABS-CBN. So that's me. I'm still trying to figure out some things about like what I want to do with my life, but it's an amazing journey.
Oh wow, that's a good story.
Oh, thanks.
It's like it just came to you.
Yeah.
Yes, unexpectedly.
Yeah.
Amazing. And then let's go into Dione. So how did you get into the music industry? And
Okay. So before that, I'm actually not signed yet. It's kind of under the wraps, but then okay, I guess
oh,
we're
did
all
I ruin a
manifesting
secret?
for it.
Oh
I guess we're
no.
all manifesting for it.
Oh no.
Working on it. Yeah. Okay. So there. So I got into music. I've always loved music, even when I was still a very very young kid. You know. So I am Roman Catholic. My whole family. So my mom would bring me back to the church before, back when I was still I think 2 or 3, when I could walk already, and I would just apparently go in front of everyone by the altar and start dancing to the songs in church. And then my mom has a business, and then she would have like assembly of people around 500 plus in an events place, and then I would be on stage just dancing to Let's Get Loud. And then at home there would be gatherings, and then do you guys know Rosalinda? I think so it was like with an umbrella. I can't even remember the show anymore, but I just remember that part where it was like Rosalinda I am more, and then like I'm just twirling this umbrella. So I've always loved dancing and singing. Growing up, I would always just like sing just for fun, like everyone does in the shower or in parties. And then I started joining workshops mainly. So funny thing was I wanted to play the piano because my dad have always wanted me to play that one, and my mom was the one who enrolled for the voice lesson. But after my piano lesson, I would go to her room where she's having her voice lessons, and I would be like I would sing along with her. So then the coach would be like, you should just let your daughter sing. And so I'm the one who took over her lessons. I think my mom actually stopped the voice lessons and I took over. And so there is that. But I've always thought of it as like something for fun. I've never thought of it as a career. But when I was studying in the university, so there was this NLIT class where we had to make a poem. And for some reason, usually you would have some sort of confidence when you've already experienced something, right? Or when you have had tried it. But what happened was I was just like, wait, aren't poems like lyrics? They're also like lyrics of song. Those are poems also. So I just started writing. But while I was writing, I started singing along with the words. So there were just melodies coming out as I was writing down the words. So I'm like, wow, this is kind of cool. But I thought it was just like a fluke. This is just by chance. I've always thought that it's so weird that musicals, even though I love them, people would start singing out of nowhere. I don't think that's realistic, but then it actually happened to me. Like I could actually sing about cacerola or about plate numbers. If I want to, I can make tunes about anything. And then while I was writing, I saw that the my topics have always been about something I find more socially relevant, like here in the Philippines, and then I think it goes all for the whole world in terms of music. Everyone loves love songs, and especially here, everyone of us here is a Pinay, and love songs is like ingrained in the veins of Filipinos.
Right.
It's always just there, and karaoke's everyone would be singing some
Love
sort of
songs.
old love songs. Yeah. And it's honestly, I've been exposed to like people in the industry who are in labels, and they've always said like, write more love songs. That's the formula. That's what people like. But then I could not just I just couldn't find myself to force myself to write love songs when I didn't want to at that moment. Even now, so my songs are always about mental health, about um like my mom is a single mom. So I think my mom's my biggest inspiration, because most of my songs, my first few songs were about her just rags to riches story, or her standing up for herself when my dad left us, and a lot of things. So I've always wanted something more inspirational, or just something I feel like that is not talked about much here in the Philippines, because everyone just loves love songs anyway. So yeah, that's basically the story. And I just started sharing and sharing, and people you just meet along the way, and they also support you. It's a lot of like local artists supporting each other here in the Philippines, and that's how I got into gigs and where I am right now, which by the way is secret. So yeah.
Secret. That is not so secret
Secret.
anymore. Wonderful. That all of you have amazing, remarkable stories in your respective fields. Krystl, what do you love the most about what you do with your podcast and your goal of improving basically the lives of Filipino women in a way through inspiring them and having that message of empowerment within the Filipino community? All of you ladies are inspiring in a way, but with Krystl, what do you love the most about what you do?
Yeah. I love seeing how multifaceted the Filipina is, and seeing what she is capable of doing in different industries. I think that there's always this assumed one type of path and one type of person that she can be. But I've interviewed anyone from politicians to attorneys to executives to authors and everyone. I have a belief from all the podcast episodes that I've done that when enough Filipino women step into their power and into positions of power and decision making, that we can really heal the world and like change how things are done here. And that what Filipino women can do in a position of leadership is just so unique from anyone. They treat their company like family. They're diplomatic, they're communicative, they're creative. We are really able to be hospitable and implement that in everything we do. I've seen it with every single episode that I've held, but there's this also like this like inspiration that I believe Filipino women can really serve to the rest of the world. So it's a radical belief, but I do see the power in Filipino women that is unique from other people. And I think I love being able to connect with individuals and tell their stories and show that we have very multifaceted backgrounds. We're such a diaspora people. So there's not one type of way to be Filipina. There's many different paths there, whether that you're first generation immigrant or second gen, or that you grew up as, if you're a mixed Filipina, or you didn't grow up learning your language. There's a lot of Pinays who listen saying, I never thought that I'd find a story that resonated with me. That's my favorite thing to hear. My most favorite comment or thing is like, I didn't know there were others like me in this. And when I see somebody in that industry that I wanted to be in as an artist, as an actor, as a professor in graphic design, because seeing the story, I feel like I can be it. So I really believe in the power of seeing your faces in spaces. And once you can see it, you can be it. And so that's been my favorite thing, and just seeing the multifaceted stories and identities and power that we have as Filipino women.
Yeah, and I think this group of ladies is an example of exactly what you just said. Reya, you have anything to add to that?
Can you repeat that question?
Oh yeah, it's if you had anything to add on what Krystl said of Filipino women being multifaceted.
I think we're just so talented, and we have so much capabilities that, I think in the past they push us down to like try to become like, like caregivers and like especially families. But I think this like generation now and just currently, there's just so many Filipinas that like they don't want to be nurses, they want to like explore their options. They want to be who they want to be. They don't want to follow expectations. They want to live in the moment. They want to make their own journey. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, just to like add on to what Reya said, that the stereotypical, being a nurse, our families or, whatever, our parents or our grandparents, it's like a thing. Be a nurse, you do something different. It's like, but when you make it, it feels so much greater, right? Like you feel so much more accomplished that you did more than just, okay, as a caregiver, as a nurse, like everybody else, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that.
Yeah, and I think it's been highlighted more in this generation. I mean, look at us, like Krystl in our podcast. We got our podcast too, Reya, as a talented speaker, interview host. So there's many ways that we could show Filipino excellence and in our different fields and our talents. And Dione, you with your music, I know that music is a big thing for us Filipinos, and
Yeah.
right, I don't know, like dancing to the ocho ocho and all that, and you being a part of that industry, what can you say about that, being in it so far? Because it's different here, right? Like
Yeah.
from American standards and all that.
It's so hard because I've always, what do you call this? I'm enjoying music, but at the same time, I think there's more hardships actually. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's harder aside from the fact that I'm not the usual. I'm not saying like everyone here is great, by the way, but I'm not following the trend of writing love songs. I know friends who write love songs because that's the trend. That's what works. There are people who really loves writing love songs. They're more connected that way with their music. But with me, it's like I'm always going against the flow, not because I want to be different, but because that I felt like it was really my calling, like writing songs about, like I have a song called Huminga, and it's always so fulfilling when people message me like, "Hi, I was having an anxiety attack. I wasn't feeling okay, and I listened to your song. I felt better." And it's just so fulfilling in those moments, when people say something about my song and they appreciate it, even though we're working on that, but I'm not yet like the biggest singer, like we're trying to get there, but it's kind of hard because I don't think it's music, especially independent artists, are that really supported here. There's a lot of starving artist mentality where, oh, you gotta strive for it. Everyone has to work hard for something, right? But
Right.
here, literally, like if I convert it in dollars, it would be so small, like just barely enough for you to get by. Like that's not even enough for your fare to go to a gig place. I mean, now it's kind of going back to normal, so there are finally gigs. I think it only started a few weeks ago, but for 2 years, nothing. That's why I went into streaming and I did other things. But it's always just that struggle of like looking for your place, and I think I found my place somehow because I finally found the right people. I've been through a lot of like, what do you call this, in Filipino it would be mapagsamantala. I don't know what that is in English. Wait, like people take advantage of you, you know, like, oh, you're someone who has big dreams, maybe I can, like, you know, ride along with it, maybe I can get something from
Mhm.
it if ever you succeed. Or people just really want to, you know, there are just a lot of people who take you for granted or take advantage of you. And for me, the thing that keeps me going really is just that there are these people who appreciates it, and I have like a goal in sharing my music. I a lot of people here, so they want the songs that are really high, and that's how you get into like the TV. If you join singing contests, usually like I've watched like American Idol or like The Voice there in the US, and not all the singers need to sing high songs, right? They can win. Here, I don't think I've ever seen anyone win where they didn't sing a high song, you know, where they didn't,
Right.
they have to belt out. That's like the way for you to get into like the mainstream here. But for us, we're starting from independent, we're writing our own music. It's really a long and arduous path. Like it's just so hard because you're not making covers, we're making our own songs, and that takes a lot to get people to like your music and get people to notice it, because usually people just go for like the famous people, you know.
Mhm.
So that's it. But music has been nice. It's just tough, and it's great to have a support system around me. That's for sure.
That's great that you were able to rise above that. And going on top of what were the setbacks and struggles that each one of you encountered, Krystl, what was one of the things that you encountered when you were first starting up your Filipino on the Rise podcast and building that to where it is today?
Yeah, to be honest, I think starting it off as just something that was a passion project and a need for me, I wasn't aiming it to be a big production or a media company. And I it's almost that saying when it's like when you're so ignorant to what you don't know how to do yet, that's kind of the best way to go into it. I was pretty ignorant about how hard it would be to build like a large podcast in the community. I think that served a good purpose, and that's why I would keep reaching out to like bigger names and be so ambitious of what it could accomplish. Because looking back, you know, it is hard to scale this kind of stuff. It's no longer about like build it and they'll come. I think the biggest struggle for me is actually now. It's not even back then, because back then it was like, oh, this is fun, let me do it. And then it kind of scaled over quarantine organically. The biggest struggle for me now is stepping into a different mindset and a different level. You know, we have, you know, sponsors coming in and we're looking at different bigger guests. And it's always this thing of like, of imposter syndrome at a different level of like, do you think you can handle a production like this? What if you drop the ball? What if people find out that this isn't worth their investment? You know, what if you're not actually capable of handling something bigger and you have to keep it as a passion project? You know, all these what ifs. And so I'm actually in that struggle right now, that I think it's always worth it when you're ready to level up and go from good to great. You have to always battle these internal mindsets first. It's never about external. It's always like this internal belief system you have to work with, and you're unprogramming all those things that came with like childhood of like, who do you think you are to expect this big of an audience? Who do you think you are to run this big of a production? And so it's really cool to be working now with that mentality and overcoming those things, because you really have to anoint yourself, right? All of this is about anointing yourself of like, people only believe you and your dream, whether that's your as a musician or if you're running a show, people will believe in you as much as they can see that you actually believe in yourself. So you have to keep on working in your confidence first before you ever step out and try to convince people to sponsor your show, to get on the stage, to sell yourself to yourself first. So that's what I'm working with right now, if I'm being completely vulnerable and honest.
Yeah, but I love it though. It's like it's what you mentioned in your recent podcast with your dad, that hard conversation that you had to deal with him. And it's just real and raw, and I enjoy seeing that. Like, and it doesn't really happen too often in our Filipino community. We steer away from these vulnerable conversations.
Right. I was just gonna say that you avoid that. I think growing up, you don't really have, I guess, like we learn not to say anything, right? Like it's embedded in us not to really say anything to our parents, right? Like,
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I think that is one of the hardest things that any of us could do, because we're just so taught to be respectful and to not dissent. I also think that has, in a way, made it harder for us to advocate for ourselves in certain instances, because we've just been taught to keep our heads down or to be honorable and not talk back. So in a lot of ways, we're learning to find our voice again, because we have that reflex of like, oh, don't be disrespectful if you're demanding something. But you should demand, you should be demanding in the industry, and you have to speak out, because that's the only way you can get forward. So things with like vulnerable conversations with your parents and your immigrant parents is one of the hardest things that we can do. I think as adults, and we have to learn to do it. Yeah. And I think that once you do it, you're actually like, you can step into whatever role or profession you're in better. So yeah.
I don't know if you guys could relate, but like being a little selfish, right? Not in a bad way, but selfish for yourself, right? For your own happiness. Because, obviously we like, I don't know, as Filipinos, your parents want to see you be a nurse, want to see, like everyone's, your cousin is this, your sister is this, right? My sister's a lawyer. So it's like, Ashley, what about you? I'm like, what about me? I'm going to do right? So it's like being a little selfish is okay. And it's like, it's always hard. Like right now I'm in like this thing with my parents having that talk. It's like, can I just do what makes me happy? Why do I need to do what makes you happy, right? Like having that talk, and it's just like, you're disrespecting me, you're not my wishes, I'm not gonna be alive for so long, you're just gonna, it's like, I get that you want us to be okay, but do you want me to be okay with a career that I'm not happy with, or a career that I work hard for and I am happy, right? So it's like, it's okay to be a little selfish. And I feel like we as women, we can't, well, even just as having Filipino parents, I think we should just be a little selfish sometimes and always think about our own happiness, right? Then pleasing. I think that's what we do a lot in our culture, is that
it's so ingrained in our culture. Like,
yeah,
we're known as being the most hospitable and
right,
and the best host, like if you ever gone to a Filipino household, your mom's like, oh, do you want some rice? Do you want this? Like, it's always that. And I feel like that's also been translated to parenting, where your parents be like, I give you this and that, why don't you do this? And I think
yes.
And I think that's translated like in our culture. It's so deeply ingrained, but I think us being here doing the things we do in our respective fields is just a testament that like we're changing. We are leaders in our fields, and we're just doing the best we can. That's not traditional in a way, in a sense. Reya, what could you say about your struggles when you started?
When I started, well, I went back into like, attending community college because, expectations with the Filipino like aunts, uncles, like parents. My parents are chill, but they expected me just to like follow what was like like normal, and that what they saw in that is like, yeah, you go to the 4-year university and
Mm-hmm.
you become a doctor. So for myself, people were expecting me to become a dentist because, fun fact, my dad's a dentist. So a lot of people, like still to this day, they're like, "Oh, are you gonna become a dentist?" And I'm just like, no, but with that, there's two type of reactions that you can get. You can get an oh, or you can get a oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So I was getting a lot of O's, especially when I decided to go to like community college because they thought I was dumb. But to be honest, it was just like, I'm not ready to like move out to like go to university. So yeah, a lot of people doubted what I could do. And then it's especially with when my project went viral, they're like, oh, okay, she actually has brains. I'm like, that's kind of sad, but
Right.
but I think leading to where I am today, I'm always like a student. I always want to learn. So I put myself in like a space recently where I felt like I wasn't learning. And that was like really sad because I was hustling, but not for myself. It was for something else. And that set me back like a lot as like a content creator because like I wanted to do my own projects, but then I had an obligation to do this one thing that, to be honest, I did not see like growth in it. And so I was like saying like, why am I stuck in this? And like, if I'm stuck in this, am I losing what I've built ever since? For background, I went viral in 2019, and then that's when everything like started to like come about, like the opportunities I got. So for me, I had to reevaluate what I wanted to do and how I wanted to put myself out there and what I wanted to support. So with that, I think a lot of people just need to like sit themselves down, realize, okay, what's going to work best for you? What's going to make you happy in the long run? Whether that's like, oh, I want to go to this college, or I'm not ready to go to college yet, or whether it's just like, how can I like just put my time in, like, where do I put my time and energy? And yeah.
Oh, that's all great advice, everybody. And it's just amazing to hear all these stories and different perspectives. And I feel like the one uniting thing with amongst all of us is that, you know, I think we all have that internal struggle, like Krystl mentioned earlier, like, can I do this? Can I do that? And I think it's just gaining the confidence to be your most authentic self, regardless of what you do, whether you're a singer, whether you're an interviewer, and leader of your own platform. So that's what we're here today. Like, Bastos, yes, it has this connotation, but I think from our point of view, it's more like being unashamed of your voice, and that's what we're here to accomplish today. Like, sharing each one of your stories and your struggles, and maybe providing some sort of inspiration to the girl that was in each one of your shoes. You know, like, hey, I was just like a little girl where my parents wanted me to be a nurse, but I suck at chemistry, so like that didn't work out, kind of thing. And you know,
I'm just kidding. I was really good at chemistry. I'm really good at school.
Yeah,
but that's me.
I mean, yes, that's why I didn't end up being a nurse. All right, just because I did not like chemistry. But
I love chemistry.
What were some of your inspirational female figures growing up? Not just now, but like in general, dead or alive. Anyone want to share their inspirations? Female inspiration?
Okay, can I just add something about that whole can't speak up before before that?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
actually have a song. My latest song is called Gising Na, which is like time to wake up. And I have like a write up here, so it's easier to tell people about it. And I just could relate because that's literally what I was talking about in my song. So gising na is about getting tired of pakikisama or getting along with others, a Filipino trait that can be oppressive. I wrote this song when I felt exhausted caring for people only to get backstabbed. It happened too many
Ooh.
times that it affected my mental health. Now I'm just done. No one should ever treat anyone terribly and get away from it just because they're older or should be respected. So that's literally the song Gising Na. And I don't know, it just speaks too much to
Love
me.
that.
Like we're like literally our family, especially my mom, have helped a lot of people. And then these are the very people, they're the people who approach okay for help. These are the very people who backstabs us right after getting the help, like because they think it's not enough or just they always find fault. And that is, and we could not speak up. We cannot speak up because there's this pakikisama. I don't know if it's also prevalent there in the Filipino families there, but I think this is a very
Oh
very
yeah.
this is
Yeah.
a very fundamental, I think, trait as Filipinos where don't speak up because you're gonna ruin the vibe. Like we're minsan lang tayo magkasama, like we're not always together. So now we have a reunion. Why would you say something negative? Is gonna ruin the mood. Like don't offend someone. They're older or they're already old. Ganyan talaga sila. They're not gonna change. Okay, just let them be. But then they're totally like stepping on your self-esteem, basically. You
Mm-hmm.
know, not just pride. And we could not speak up. And I've experienced that a lot of times, countless times. And recently, that has been even more relevant for us siblings because especially the whole family actually it just sucks. And that's one of the things that is just so annoying here. But not everyone has the guts to step to go beyond that trait and be like this, we know how to live up to this. Like we can get along with others but only with people who deserve it. Like we can give basic respect, like we would still say hi, we don't need to totally ignore them, but we don't need to be plastic, you know. But
Right.
being plastic is such a Filipino thing here. Like why can't you just go straight out like, yeah, I mean, we can just do this, you know, together, but we don't need to act also close or what, or you know, like professionalism and work. It's not a thing in families because it's like blood and everything. So yeah, like recently I told we were talking before the podcast started that I took legal management. And so people always assume, oh, are you gonna go into law? And I had to explain it to them. Well, my course is actually business management. We just literally have 4 law classes to help us get started with business, and we have a family business. So I think it's relevant. But they always ask, are you going into law? Like let's, and then these are like not my immediate family, right? These are not my mom, my siblings. These are my relatives saying that, oh, you should be a lawyer so we can have a lawyer in our
As
clan.
of
Like that is like
Mhm.
is like a thing. Like oh, everyone's just proud of you when you achieve something. But when you don't achieve something, or they don't think it's worth the pride, the family pride, the clan pride, they would be like, what is she doing with her life? You know? um and
yeah.
that is something that you we here, or everyone here, I think everyone here is like really strong. We know, we know our voice and we want our voice to be heard. That's why I guess we're having a podcast, right? But yes, like a lot of people here sadly just shut
It's
up. Yeah,
it's
they just
as
shut up.
stepping out of the norm that
Yeah.
Filipino families
and
expect
and
from
now
us.
and that's why I'm considered liberated. Like I've been posting like bikini photos, and I was hanging out with someone who was 18 years old and I am 26 already. But she always gets confused because people get confused with my age. So like I thought you're my age because the way I talk to her, you know, I adjust. And I'm like, you know, I could never do this. Like we were drinking by the beach like night, and you know, tampisaw, like just our feet in the water, and we were
Yeah.
drinking. And I was like, you know, I could never do this with my with my cousins because I was in the province. So I could never do this with my cousins because like wearing a bikini can be too much, even though it's literally a beach wear. You know, like people talk about me because I'm wearing bikini by the beach. You know, it's so very close minded, and people just always find fault. And I think what we go against. Just trying to prove that that is not this, that shouldn't be the normal. And that's what I like to talk about in my songs. So the last song was that. I'm sorry, I just
Oh
really wanted
no,
to share that.
don't be
But
sorry.
just is that my biggest inspiration would be my mom. Like we've had our fair share of hardships because she's very, very traditional, super traditional. Like she wouldn't let us have a boyfriend while we're still studying. We can only get a suitor by 18 years old. And I did none of those because I only started dating after college. After graduating from the university, to the point that she was like, "Don't, are you not dating anyone?" Like she's the one who started looking for it. But it was super strict. Just super duper strict. Like couldn't do sleepovers. But she still is my biggest inspiration because she's proven how strong a woman can be, especially in the society. Like how they were really poor before. Like they were kind of like lower middle class before, but our grandfather died, and they, like my mom would say that she would steal an egg from the chicken and then make a hole and then feed it to her brother and then put back the empty shell to the chicken so the chicken doesn't look for it, and then they would only have tomato as food. And it was like that. Like she stopped what do you call this, she became the breadwinner at a very young age. And so her story, she's amongst the siblings, she's the one who really rose up and has been helping a lot of people. And I think that got me, I'm coming from I think music, okay, I'm not saying this goes for everyone, but people who are not doing what, like what Cam was saying earlier, the traditional, the usual profession, like being a doctor, like Asian. It's not just Filipinos. Asians, it's the stereotype for Asians, like oh, doctors, lawyers. That's what they're proud of. But for us, or for me, basically personally, I'm coming from a place of privilege. You know, I'm being given time to figure out what I want, or time to work on what I want to do to achieve my dreams. Some people don't have that, so I that's all because of my mom, and that's why she's my biggest inspiration. And other people, I guess Lady Gaga, Dua Lipa, Jessie J, they're my biggest singer influences. And yes, my sibling also, my sister, because she gave birth um in her early 20s, and she was the first person to give birth in our age group amongst us cousins. So she had the biggest backlash in terms of getting pregnant while still not married. It
Mm-hmm.
was a whole drama, like damn, everyone was involved, and she faced all of that. And it was crazy. Like if I say that, say the story, it
I
would be
couldn't
too
even
long. But
imagine that.
yeah, but it was
My
so bad. Like,
parents would have liked.
yeah, you could just imagine, like, holy shit! Like, I sorry, we're not allowed to say it. Like
No, it's fine.
they were just really backstabbing her. But in
Yeah.
front, but when they're facing her, they're all very supportive, and
Yeah.
I could hear them. They're not even hiding. Like I'm her sister. Why are you letting me hear this? But
Right.
yeah,
It's all about like, I feel like in our culture, it's like the image, right? Like as a family, like, oh, look at that family. They're like this, then that. Like, oh,
yeah,
look at that. Like, who cares? Who really
yes.
cares?
Like who cares?
Like,
But people care too much to the point that they shouldn't even care about it. Okay, that's it.
You have strong women figures in your life. How about you, Reya? Do you have any strong figures that you look up to?
Oh yeah, so like definitely my lolas, my nanais, and aunts, like they're all strong. They molded me to the person who I am today. But in regard to what I do, I think like growing up, I used to watch I Love Lucy a lot. So Lucille Ball was like
Yes.
amazing because she, and not only she was a comedian, she was doing the business side as well, and so she was also learning at like how to run her own studio or a production company. So yeah, that's just very inspirational because during at the time, if you don't know who Lucille Ball is, she was making these moves during the 1950s and 60s, and she was the only woman who had her own like studio or like production company, like especially in like America when everything was always about men running stuff. So I think she she pushed me, like looking back, because there's a lot of documentaries on her, of her, like being released now. Looking back, I think like subconsciously she molded me to want to like pursue this route, to like make my own story, and to like, you know, F the expectations, do what you want to do.
Amazing. I love Lucy too. So I totally am with you on that one. How about you, Krystl?
Yeah, I love this question, especially when you get to ask it to other Pinays, because I want to point out that it shows this, like the Filipino culture is very matriarchal. A lot of people will shine a light on their lolas or their moms and how much hardship their mom had gone through. But you look at, the network of, as much as we can critique them, but titas and moms, and just all the BS that they go through, sometimes even in relationships and in family, and having to carry the whole family on their back, or just persevere through so much immigration, or, things like that, like how strong women, Filipino women are. And I just could never picture myself doing what my mom did or what my Lola did. Like a lot of this is relatable. And our Lola's like sending generations and setting them up for their lives in the States or whatever. Like my Lola literally, off of her salary as a nurse, has put generations of people through school, not just her direct grandchildren, but little did I know of like our cousins, of people in the community, of just sending money. And so I always want to honor the fact that, even though that, we don't get their approval or they don't understand us in ways, but they really just did badass things to put us and set us up for success in our lives. And I never want to take away from that.
I love that.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And,
it's true.
Yeah, I think I always have to honor that, although there's not an approval, that man, they really had to do the freaking hardest and go through such a survival mindset so that, even though they were surviving so that we could be thriving, we had the privilege to do what we did because people had to carry us on the backs through generations. And so I do always honor the matriarchs in the family and the Filipinas who didn't get the luxury and the privilege that we have now. So yeah.
Boom. That's amazing. Like if you think about it, we are in a position of privilege.
Absolutely.
Than our previous generation. Like you'd always hear your Lola saying, like, I used to walk in the dirt barefoot 5 miles to school. Here we are, we get Uber, all that stuff. Like,
and I'm still complaining about my Uber being late.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
it makes you appreciate things a little bit more.
Yeah.
My mom, out of her 12 siblings, she's the only one that came here. I would never be able to. I'm 30 and I'm still at home. I cannot leave my parents. It's so hard. And I'm like, how did you leave at 15? All the way across the world, let alone I left to go to Hawaii and I freaking came back. And I'm still here in the United States. Like, how did you do that? It's amazing. And Krystl said, my mom did the same. All of my millions of cousins that I have, she put them through school, and she has this one rule, like once you get married or you finish school, because we have a house there, like you have to leave the house and you have to move on, but I will help you until you get there, right? And it's just like, what? And at the same time, you're also helping me and my sister. And here, obviously, college isn't cheap. It's like, how do you do this? It's like it amazes me. And then it at the same time, it also kind of makes you feel bad when you step out of the zone of what they want you to do. Right.
But to flip that narrative, I heard a coach who came on say, that's the very reason why you have to lean more into it, because they put so much sacrifices for you to not be in the survival mindset that they had to live through. So you can be more in the thriving mindset on behalf of the generations that sacrificed their dreams so you can live yours.
Right.
So if you flip the script in that way, then you can see how it is your duty actually to step into your dream. Like you, Dione, it's your what you're doing is actually like honoring all those people who didn't get to do what you do. And thank you for stepping into your power and deciding to write about music that matters to you, because, you know,
Right,
we need that represented so badly. We need what you do, Reya. Always going off course, like you're honoring your ancestors by doing that. And so I was actually this mental health therapist that came on the podcast. She said, we'll never know what, you know, talking about mental health, for example, is a luxury in itself for us, because that term wasn't even used for like generations before. So they don't know what mental health was. They were just trying to get through. But we'll never know, she said, what stripping yourself from a land into a brand new country and starting from scratch and setting up, you know, we'll never know what that did to our parents or our grandparents, emotionally, mentally. They couldn't even have language to put to that, and yet they still survived through it. And how wonderful it is that they had to kind of like not even care about their own mental health just to make sure that we were set up.
Right.
Yeah. So
because like my mom didn't have time to actually like rest. Like she would tell me how much kilometers she had to walk because she didn't have money to pay for the fare. You know, stories like that. And then it's just kind of sad because even she would tell me that I might be depressed, something like that. And it's only in the recent years that she was able to say something like that. Before, if mental health or even just a term psychiatrist, she was so close-minded. I don't want you to go to because we had free counseling back in the university. So I'm very proactive in a way that when my dad died, I was like, it was during Christmas break. He actually passed away on Christmas. So I'm like, I am not feeling the sadness, the heavy sadness that I was expecting after that. So I was being proactive. By the time that we went back to school in January, I went straight to the guidance office and look for a counselor. I'm like, I need to talk about this because I've seen friends who just broke down out of nowhere. They did not expect they were okay, and suddenly they just felt everything. And so eventually, I've had other experiences where they said that I might need therapy or like medicine. They can't give it because they're not allowed to. I need a psychiatrist, an actual doctor. So I told my mom about it. She was really close-minded. Like, don't go to psychiatrist because people think here, and I think in other countries also, that you're crazy if you go there. So I'm like, no, I just need I just need to know if I need something, I need to know what's happening to me. And it's crazy how talking about something and never stopping, just giving time and eventually just talking about it when it comes up can change things. Because fast forward 2 years after, she accepts anxiety as a sickness. She accepts that we need to go to psychiatrists for counseling, even to counselors. She's the one who would suggest it now, when before she would be one of the usual Filipino parents who would say in Filipino nag-iinarte or kulang ka sa prayers. So like you're just being OA. That's just like emotions and everything overacting, yeah. And then
because it's not the same as what they went through, like
and we're yeah, because they had to keep it in. And then very very religious. A lot of Filipinos are very religious, and so you like prayers. I have experienced my mom spraying holy water on me. And in my room, it was crazy times. But yeah, we're not there anymore. It took years. So I told my sister, like, my mom is really hard to talk to when it comes to something that she thinks is like a hard fact, like this is it, this is that, and that is that. So I'm like, no, you just put in time and she'll eventually see it. Like I think that our mom is not that, what they say, that you can't teach old dogs new tricks, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think my mom is necessarily like that. Like, it's harder, okay, because she's lived through decades, but it takes a while to break down that.
Yeah, to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that idea. That. Yeah.
I had that similar, like, well, not like similar situation, but like my mom is starting to, she just called me out of nowhere. I don't really see my mom so often. I was telling her, like, I keep coming back because she makes me feel bad. Like, how do you leave your dad? You don't leave your family, you don't leave home, blah, 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 blah. So I come back. Called me out of the blue. I get it. I just want you to be happy enough. I get it now. You know, it's like sometimes they just need time to think, like, you know, it's not normal for them to tap into that, like, because in their mind it's like, but I left my whole family back in the Philippines. I went through this. I raised a whole family in another country and this and that, and I didn't have my dad or my mom or this and that. And then it's like, but why are you complaining? You have everything that we worked hard for, right? And then it's like, now I think, you know, stepping out of the comfort zone, showing them, like, you know, we could be also upset not having everything you, because like, yeah, I also come from a very privileged home. You could buy me all the cars you want. I have, my mom just buys me cars and cars, buys me this, buys me that. You could buy me all those things, but is those things, like, I'm grateful I get those things, unlike other people who I know have to buy their first car, have to do this, have to do that, right? But that doesn't mean I'm okay, right? Like, mentally. So then they I think oh, we spoke about this, Cam, in our previous podcast, gift giving being a Filipino trait, right? It's
But
like,
not just that. I think our generation before us had a different love language, you could say.
right, yes. It's like, those things mean so much to them that they could do that. But for us, it doesn't really mean so much. Like, for us, it's more like,
we're words of affirmation kind
right,
of generation.
yeah, like, you know, it's like, okay, cool, but I'm not happy. You know, like, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to step out of the comfort zone of not being a nurse, not being a lawyer, not being a doctor. You know, and it's like, you strive to make your parents proud, right? Because you appreciate that they work so hard for the life you have now, right? Compared to, oh, I look at my cousins back in the Philippines, or look at anybody really, like, it's just like, damn, okay, I should be grateful for the life I have. And then you feel like, oh, I should follow those steps. Actually, no, you know, you don't have to. Again, going back to being selfish, right? So, like, all you ladies stepping out of that comfort zone, and you all do such different things. It's amazing, like, where you guys are now in your life, you know. And it's like, all you really, at the same time, you always just want to make your family proud at the end of the day, right? Like, also yourself, obviously, but you're doing something you love.
I mean, just to add on to what Krystl said earlier, we still have to be mindful of our previous generation's hardships, like, because it was like 10 times as hard as it is.
Oh, absolutely.
Today. So it's not forgetting what they did, but also respectfully saying, hey mom, hey dad, lolo, lola, I want to be this. I don't want to be a nurse. I want to be this. I want to be me, you know? And I think, of course, like, we just have to communicate that, constantly communicate that, and bring it home. And I think that's what our goal here today is, to showcase, like, our individuality in our different areas in life. And I think that's the most beautiful thing right now. Like, we're able to talk about our different experiences, but also share similarities with our culture and, like, the expectations of our families and all that. And on top of that, let's talk about what made you want to move forward in your respective fields. Let's start with Reya. So what was your aha moment, like, that made you want to do what you want to do and stick with it?
Well, going back to my first interview, it was with an actor that to be honest, I wasn't really familiar with his work. But it was for, like, an LGBTQ plus movie where, like, to be honest, a lot of these people who were interviewing these these actors were like we're asking the same questions, but then all of a sudden they flipped the script on us, and they're like, you know what, can you like make sure for all the people that are going next, like make sure to stop asking about LGBTQ issues, because it was becoming repetitive. So for me, I did this one question with the actor. He's actually a Filipino American actor. He moved from Houston to go to the Philippines, and then he made it big there. So I asked him, so how do you see this movie bridging the gap between the Philippines, United States, and the second generation across the world? And that was a different like type of like mood, that it flipped the script for that type of conference, because legit, it was always about LGBTQ issues. So for me, a lot, and I to be honest, it was my first interview ever. Never really imagined like interviewing these people. Like when I got invited to this like interview media conference, like I thought I was just gonna watch. But then the lady who reached out to me, she was like, "Where's your questions? Like, make sure you send in your questions." And to be honest, my questions were about LGBTQ issues. But I think a lot of people who saw myself ask that question was like, oh, she's actually like really good at this. Like, even though it's just like one question, it got them thinking. And I think that was my aha moment, because I wanted to, it made me want to dive into more of like what they're thinking. Background, I went to UCLA as a behavioral science major, so I studied that. So I think that using what I learned in school and just learning and just realizing, oh, I have this talent that I'm going to develop still, made me realize, you know what, just keep on going. You're going to get better at this.
Nice.
So that,
nice.
Very, I feel like your experience is all like, it just all came to you, right? Like you just
I'm just like,
yeah.
oh my god, okay.
This is a great story.
Oh,
I want a story like that.
So much.
Krystl, did you have a similar type of story, or was yours different?
Yeah, I think it's repeated aha moments. It's always those little, you have so much doubt sometimes in what you're doing. And then it's those repeated things, whether it's a listener reaching out and saying, hey, because of this episode, I applied for this city, like a position in government, or someone even reached out and said, because I listened to her story, I come out to my parents. It was really encouraging, like things like that. And just the different feedback from the community showing that these stories are worth telling. I think every time I have on a guest, whether it's like a magazine editor or it's a politician, I just realize like how much our stories are worth uncovering. So the mission behind Filipino on the Rise is obviously to spotlight stories in different industries to show what Pinays are doing in various industries other than what we're used to, but also second, to promote Filipina excellence to the rest of the world and show that we're a force to be reckoned with. So whenever I finish an episode with a Filipina, I really do see like, oh my gosh, we are a force to be reckoned with out there. What we're able to do in these positions. For example, Christina Rodolfo, she used to be the editor of Women's Health magazine, and she was at different female magazines, and she's really led a movement to bring in more inclusive beauty, to bring in more brown beauty and different diverse makeup and representation, and to pull in something Filipinos are really good at. When you put them in positions of power, as I've seen, is that they're good at pulling up. They don't just get in there and then try to like spotlight and elevate themselves. I've seen this in Filipinas in tech, like a Pinay who works in Pinterest in a leadership level. Once they're in that position, they are very intentional about pulling up other Pinays into the space. And that's really that's how we elevate. It's through like getting mentored and having role models to look up to. So I think that's so empowering that every time you see a Pinay in leadership, she doesn't take her role lightly. She makes sure that she's opening the door and mentoring and being a facilitator, yes, and building the pipeline for other Filipinas. And that, yeah, I think that aha moment for me is every time I see that, like, we're a force. That's all I gotta say. So yeah,
just spicy, right? We're just like, no.
This is amazing.
We get that from our moms, huh?
Okay. Is it my turn?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay. So my aha moment, I think like Krystl, it was like a lot, because I felt like what kept me with music is really hard to stay motivated all the time. I think that goes for everyone, but here it's like the wall is so high just for you to get there. It's And there's a lot of walls that you have to break down every time, that you have to jump over. It's just really like every time it's like a new set of challenges. So I have to keep on, what do you call it, rekindling my spirit for my love for music, because it's not just anymore for fun. I'm doing this as something that I can do for a lifetime, or as long as I have a voice or the ability to write. So for me, it's that the first one would be when I was just amazed with how I thought the musicals were like stupid, but I loved them. They were like stupid fun. Like people started singing out of nowhere. So do it and everything, and then I could do it. But when I wrote this song called Fight for My Dreams, this was when I didn't decide that I wanted to do music as a career. It was just for fun. I always had these notebooks. I would write them down so I could like scratch them. It looked better when I could scratch and everything. It was very comforting. And then Fight for My Dreams is a song about my mom's rags to riches story. I I need to see the lyrics to remember it. But then my mom received her award in the company. She was like part of the top 10 that time, I think. Right now she's top 3. That's why she's amazing. But yeah, it was in front of thousands of people in a hotel here. I think it was in Manila Hotel, and she made me go up because usually she's solo. Like, in the company, it's usually couples who would be winning awards. My mom has always been solo. So, like if they have the top 10, she's usually that person who is solo, you know, and has a family. And there's some, but that's because they're single. My mom literally is feeding a whole family and helping people outside of her family. So so when she received that, she was like, my daughter wrote a song for me actually, because I made her listen to it. And then I sang it. It was just the first verse up until the chorus. And then it was very short. And then a few days after, I went to the office with my mom, and there was this old lady who said, I cried. Ooh, I'm getting emotional. Like I cried when I listened to that song. Like it made me so inspired, and I'm feeling like I'm gonna cry too. And then I remember that clearly. I'm like in my head, like, oh my gosh, like my reaction was like that. But then in my head, like, oh, what the, like people actually got so touched by it. Like it was in English. Usually people really appreciate here like Filipino songs. Um and then so that got me going, like I really want to do this even more, because this is not just a friend, this is not a family that they can sugarcoat things. I do believe my family, though, they're very straightforward, but it's a different reassurance when it's coming from a total stranger saying, I got touched, by the music. And as earlier I mentioned that some people, I wrote this song about anxiety, whoming out just to breathe, and it was more than one person. They would message me, hey, this is my go-to when I'm not feeling well, because it reminds them to breathe, and the music. And yeah, every time there's someone who messages me, or people who tells me, like on my last day in Bohol, someone messaged me 2 days before my flight, say, hey, I saw your guesting, because I went to Bohol to do radio guestings there. I saw your guesting in Kiss FM, which is the biggest radio station there in that province. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I thought you might want to have more exposure and introduce yourself to fellow Boholanos. So I'm like, yeah, yeah, sure. So I performed on my last night there, and it's a different kind of feeling when people see you for what you want to be seen as, a musician who actually does, performs, not just like I'm doing this for fun. And just like what Krystl said earlier, it really takes some confidence. Like you can't keep on going and be like, oh, I don't really believe in myself. Like we can have that moments of doubt and weakness, but I always feel like, I don't know if it's that manifesting thing that people are saying, when I feel very confident and I really believe in myself, for some reason things just keep going, keep coming in. So that's how I feel, and yeah,
Speak
it's
it
always so
into
reassuring.
existence.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like when I feel very like even though I feel so down, but I'm like, we gotta keep going. It never stops. Like it might take a while, but I just see things come in, and
But that's essentially what your songs are doing, speaking it into
Yeah.
existence.
yep.
I love that your songs are actually about things like that.
Thank you.
It's very I like that. It's like outside of that, typical thing. I really like
Mm-hmm.
that. I love that. Um I can relate to that. Like when I just strictly I just play Valorant. I could probably play Valorant like on my own, but I don't. Solely because I also get those messages. Like um a lot of my messages are like, oh, like they didn't have friends outside of come meeting me just through a game, and then they joined my server
Mm-hmm.
on Discord. I love that, like it, it's like, oh, thank you, Mashley. I never had like these because my server is very consistent. There's always people in there talking. And then I love that they talk without me, like I don't need to be there for them to be friends. Like usually sometimes a lot of the servers or when you're playing, it's like that you're the main person has to be there, then everyone follows, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Like when you get those messages, it just touches you so much that like
Yep.
damn, these people, like you, like some days I feel so down. I'm just like, what am I doing? Like, I'm just like, what am I doing? And then I think about it, I'm like, this is why I do it. Because
Yeah.
not that like, oh, these people rely on me, right? It's more like that feeling of
Just
giving
nice
them,
validation for
right?
what
Like
you
it
do.
feels
Mm-hmm.
nice that just you doing something that, like for me, I'm just playing a video game, right? But to them, it's not me just playing a video game with them. To them it's like friendship. For them it's someone to talk to, someone to keep them
Mm-hmm.
grounded, right? Like, or even I get a lot when they have a bad day or they're having going through something, a lot of them contact me, right? And it's like, I feel grateful for that, or like I appreciate it. It's like, wow, they're coming to me to ask me that. I'm over here like cursing up a storm and playing Valorant all day with them. Like, what I mean? It's like they trust me. Like it feels nice. Just like for Dion, like your music, like when someone um messages you, like that feeling is just it just makes you keep going. It's inspiring, It's like this is why I do it, not just because for me it's like not just for me to play a video game because I could play it by myself, right? But it's because of the community you build, right? Like how many hearts you touch, how many minds you touch, how many people you're creating this environment that could relate to you, right? But yeah.
And I guess
Okay.
at the end of the day, that's why we're all here, right? Just to touch people and make an impact in our own way. And again, as we come to a close, thank you all for joining us. Your achievements inspired me to work hard to be better at what I do.
Right.
And I'm just so proud and honored to share and showcase all of your stories and perspectives. And before we head out, what is one motivational thing you could leave us or your young self today before you head out? Let's start with Krystl.
Yes. Um, Man, can you all come back to me? Sorry about
We're
that.
coming back. Reya.
I think for me is since I'm still like building myself up, trying to figure out what I really want to do in the long term run. And like just looking back in my journey, I think what I would just share for right now is Rome wasn't built in a day. It's a proverb that, you know, we've heard, but we don't use it like on the daily, like in comparison to like actions speak louder than words, or it's better safe than sorry. Rome wasn't built in a day. I think to like instill this in your minds to say, which the proverb says, it takes time to create great work, and that while you cannot expect success to come right away, it will be achieved through continued persistence. So I think whatever you're doing out there, whoever's listening to this, just keep on going, and you'll get to a point of your life where like it's like everything will be worth it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I feel inspired.
Dione, what do you got
Okay.
for us?
I love saying that this line this actually shows up in my like the theme of my songs like before Para Muna, which is literally they always saw it was like a jeep, like para, that's what you say when you
Mhm.
like hailing a cab, but that's like a way to say stop also, para muna. And that's like huminga, the one I wrote about anxiety, where I was talking about how hard it is to get up and leave my room. The sun is already up. But what I want to say, like, stop. You can take a break. Like, you can keep on going. Just take a break. Like in my song Para Muna, I was talking about like pakipara na lang po. Tapos something like I will walk for now. Like I don't have to be rushing all the time. Like of course we don't have unlimited time in this world, but what I was trying to say is that you can keep on grinding. Keep on working and working. But if you don't take a break, your body
Your
and you
body
don't
will
listen to
break.
your
Just kidding.
body, yeah, your body will break. Yes, there we go. So gotta listen to yourself so you can keep on achieving more things and you can work smarter, not just harder.
I love it. All right, girl.
Smarter, not just harder.
All right, Krystl.
Yeah, I love all of those. I love how they're all complimenting each other because like Reya, like you said, it really resonates with slow and steady really does a race, right? And in order to build something excellent, you have to have like really deep roots in that, especially in this day and this age and culture where everything is so instant, this instant gratification, this instant overnight success. Everyone expects it to be like that. I have to remind myself over and over again that someone I really look up to is like Oprah Winfrey, right? But for 10 years of her life, she was always just trying to be in the right rooms and build really like silently behind the doors and stuff, and remembering that the best things take time. And Dione, just like I've had seasons where I'm like, I have to go really silent right now and I have to take a pause, and we can be really hard on ourselves for that. But I think we have to normalize that you can really hibernate, and it's so necessary because we're not machines, and all this glamorization of people being go 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 and going so fast, and you see people creating content so quickly. Sometimes Rihanna goes silent for like 3 years, but she's cooking up her best work.
Yes, exactly. And then
like
boom,
those
that's
people,
it.
they don't care. They don't care that they're not in the public eye. They actually could not give less of a care that they're not like out there. And I respect that so much. And I think it comes down, what I want to end with is something I've had to really learn in this past year. You have to believe that you are deserving of your wildest dreams, of your wildest lives, because sometimes you're going to look left and right and you're not getting that validation from other people. You're not getting it from your family, from your audience, from your, from social media, from your, like, from the industry. And at the end of the day, like, get it from God, get it from whatever spiritual, divine, guidance you have. But I've had to learn, like, you have to be your biggest advocate for your dream, because no one will remind you of that other than yourself. And
something I taught in workshops and in my community memberships. The outcome of your life is contingent on how much you believe you are deserving of that dream. It won't be from anyone else. That's why you see the most successful people in this world is because they have the audacity to demand, the kind of life that they believe they deserve. Even we think like we see Kanye as being so just like out of whack sometimes, but he really believes he deserves like the kind of the musician that and he declares it. And you know what? We can make fun of him as much as we want to, but he has the audacity to believe he is the greatest ever.
Hey, that's how Donald Trump became president.
Anybody who is the greatest ever, it's because they have. I want to live an audacious life where, left and right, you're not being inundated anymore with what people think you deserve. It's just like you have the audacity to believe that you can live the life that you want to. And mind you, those are the people who have the biggest impact on other people. So that's the kind of life I want to live. And that's the kind of life I want to empower other people to live, be audacious and really give it to yourself to believe you're deserving of your wildest dreams.
I'm pumped after that. I'm so pumped right now.
Man, that you deserve it.
Anyways, everyone, thank you so much. I'm so grateful and thankful for having you here and spending some time with us tonight and just showcasing our stories and our Filipina excellence and all within. I don't know. I'm just at all right now. I'm just excited. I'm pumped right now. But
let's do this.
Let's do this
right now.
Thank you two so much for this platform and bringing these, our voices together. And as much as I think we're always advocating for our own voices. So it's so touching and honoring to have this to come on and be given the mic back to.
Thank you also for having me here. It's not every day I get to talk to fellow Filipinos from other parts of the world,
who are baddies in their respective
yeah
fields.
Amazing people. So thank you.
Hey, so just give us a brief intro where we could find your guys' content, starting with Reya. Where can we find you? How can we find you?
Well, I just want to say first, thank you so much for inviting us here in this space to talk about our contributions, because sometimes it's very hard to talk to about these topics, especially about past Filipino traumas and how you're trying to strive for what you want, and sometimes that's not acceptable in some spaces. So thank you so much for creating the safe space for us to just let us say what we want to say. But you can find me on Instagram at Hella Reya. I do have an interviews Instagram. It's called Hella Interviews. Wow.
That's cute.
Yeah, I was I guess branding. I don't know. But then I do have a YouTube where I put all my interviews, and you can just search Hella Reya up on YouTube. And I have a project coming soon, so just be on the lookout for that.
And I won't spoil the secret this time.
Dione. Okay, you can find me on Spotify, Apple Music, other digital music platforms. That's Dione, Dione. And then on Facebook, you can find me there. I'm also Dione there. And on Twitch, I stream there, this Dione. Also on Instagram and Twitter, it's this Dione. And on YouTube, it's Dione Ibarra. So, yeah.
Nice.
Krystl, on your platform?
Yes. Find me on Instagram, Filipina on the Rise, also the podcast. And we are on Facebook. Also join the Filipina Soul Sisterhood, which is a global community of Filipino women around the world who are stepping into their power, reconnecting with their culture, and having weekly sessions and workshops and access to industry top Filipinas. And so that is there. We also have a Filipino authors book club, if that's a community you want to join and you want to read more Filipino writers. It's our community is now at over 1,100 people on Facebook. It's just growing. So there's that. And also this rest of this year, I'm hosting the Filipina meetup series. So at different major cities. We just finished in LA, had our last Filipina event in Seattle. We're going to Houston next, going to New York City in April, Chicago after that. And yeah, it's just going to be a way to gather Filipinas in real life, in the art of true community like our Filipino people love. There's just different ways to get connected to Filipino on the Rise, and I hope you can be there.
Yay.
Nice.
All right. Thank you, everyone, so much. Let's stay Bastos. We're signing off right now.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
ladies.
Thank you.
So inspiring.
Bye. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.
Smash.
Hi.
You guys did really good.
Yeah. that was
Recording
nice.
stopped.
Did you? I don't know if you were recording the whole time.
I was recording on OBS.
OBS.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Okay. I just like recorded when Reya said, I was like, oh,
Yeah, I saw that.
We recorded.
But I was hoping
like,
for
"What?"
OBS also. So I'm glad.
yeah, I was like,
Please OBS.
Yes, we got it
beat
covered.
up so
y'all.
plus.
Amazing.
Do we have a photo?
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Where's Krystl?
I
Show
think
us.
she
Oh,
had.
Krystl.
That's so Asian. That's like what our.
I do have some snaps
Wait.
though from the call.
Ooh.
I can share.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. I took screenshots.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
So then you can just send it to us. Do I
Yeah.
look good?
I don't know actually. We're all candid there. Okay.
My mouth is
Yeah,
probably
I was
open.
probably Oh, but thank you, ladies. You guys are. Oh my god,
Yeah,
I need to
again.
go grind.
Thank you all for
Okay.
your time.
Thank you. My mom's calling me to go to the gym already.
Girl, get it.
Let's
She needs-
go.
She needs motivation. Okay. Thank you so much. I'll be following all of you guys.
Bye.
Yes,
Great to
same.
meet
Same.
you.
Thank
Take care,
you. Bye,
everyone.
guys.
Yeah, I had a great time. You guys take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Ugh.
Okay. Planning committee. So I knew you recorded it a little late, but I'll just see what I have from OBS because it was kind of weird. Oh yeah.
I don't even know where the recording is. I just downloaded Zoom now on this computer.
Perfect. I'm gonna stop.